What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian, here for the pregame meal for the Birds and the Aints today. So, this is what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and sit back, relax, enjoy. And we got you squared away for this ball game. And links already posted. We want to hear your thoughts today. So, let's go ahead and get it. We'll holler at you in a minute. Well. The sweep of the division is closer at hand. We just got to go ahead and orchestrate it. So at this point, what we're trying to do now, apologize about that. On this point, what we're trying to do now is get some things established today. We've got to get our running game established. We've got to get our passing game pretty much continuing to grow and matriculate. But defensively, we got to create some stops today. But before I get into it, man, I finally got somebody to come through here I hadn't had in a long time. My man normally comes through on Thursday night, but he's pulling up to get a plate of brunch, man. Got some crawfish etouffee, fried fish, cheese grits, and some toast on the side, maybe some waffles. We got my man, Mr. 95 North in the building. Berto, what's good, baby?
What is going on, Ryan? What is going on? Appreciate the invite, man.
Man, I can't call it dirty. Appreciate you coming through, man. First time you coming through, pulling up a plate in the up in the soul food lounge, man. What's up?
I'm all good for that. Big back status is that in that department. So give me the full plate and then some, man. But I'm glad to be on, man. Appreciate the invite. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yo, shout out to Carrie, man. Yeah, man. Just ready to get this dub, man. See if the Falcons can maintain a little something that folks may be missing out on is the Falcons are currently undefeated on the road at 3-0, going into a hostile environment of the New Orleans Saints. We hope to make it 4-0, man. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this dub, bro. Carrie, what's going on, Carrie?
So here's the thing I'm gonna give you, bro. Now, this part of the show, I know you're normally professional, just like myself when we're doing our shows or whatnot. But guess what? This is actually a show today. Like normally this part of the show, man, you get to be a fan. We get to talk about anything as a fan. We don't have to be I'm hosting, but I get to be a fan though. We don't even have to go anything you want to talk about. We really have a fan decorum on this platform. And this is mainly for the fans to come in. And normally you do your thing on your show. But today, let's hear from Berto, the fan.
Oh, man.
This is this is the part where you get to let your hair down. Smitty came in here. You know, he ain't got much hair, but he definitely let them thoughts down, man. Shout out to my boy Smitty over there, man.
Shout out Smitty, man. Brother Smitty.
So, how do you feel with this game in hand? I'm not even saying in hand, but how do you feel with the Falcons possibly having the division in hand at this point if they win today and they handle business and not have a letdown like what happened with Seattle? How do you feel the Falcons can continue to go on and do their thing?
Yeah, so establishing what we want to do on offense early and just continue to do it often in this game. This is a Saints team that obviously is going through a mid-season turnaround, fired the coach. So I know that, the Saints are going to give us their best effort, best shot in the chin, but the Falcons got to be ready to, to absorb that shot. Not like that Seattle game where they came in, punched us, and we had no answer. I think this time around, Terry and company, or I should say Raheem and company, are going to have us game ready for any little new wrinkles that New Orleans may throw. Thus far, Raheem, man, he has silenced a lot of the critics, man, and definitely was the right choice for these Atlanta Falcons. He has these boys playing very inspired ball, man. And something special is brewing in Atlanta under Raheem Morris. But in this game specifically, man, I like to see, just the maturity of Zach Robinson continue to grow within this offense. Really, he's been doing a fantastic job for the past couple of weeks. just utilizing all these talents that we had. And it's tough to say because in recent years the Falcons really haven't had a loaded roster like we do today, as we do now. So seeing more of Darnell Mooney, seeing some more of Ray McLeod, the one thing that as a fan I don't want to see in today's matchup, I really didn't want to see Drake London go. I didn't want to see him suit up, but I know that dog mentality in him is not allowing him to just sit back and wait, man. I like to see, what Chris Blair, Casey Washington, could do on this Falcons offense. So yeah, it's things like that. As a fan, that's what I look in depth into situations like that. How can we get this offense going? And also another thing, man, this was a team that elected not to make a move at the trade deadline. I know a lot of eyes are going to be on this Falcons defense today to see if we can have another sack output like we did last week against Dallas with 3. Can we, continue that path? Can Jimmy Lake continue to mix the bag of guys, with D'Angelo Malone, who we finally saw, some more of what's his name, Damone Harris, some more Zach Harrison. Is there a formula within place that we can, trot out today and finally get to Derek Carr? Because I don't think we got to him our first meeting. So it's a lot of little things like that, man, that I like to look forward to, man, in today's matchup.
No, we actually got a sack in that game. We
got
did
get a
sack.
sack. Okay, we did.
Carr.
All right,
we did. But the crazy part about the whole thing is this. And shout out to my former office. Shout out to one of my former officers that I used to work for in the military, Miss Lisa Moitoy. She just hit me up. She's on her way to the game. U.S. Coast Guard, baby. You know how we do it. Semper Paratus, always ready. That's the mantra. And shout out to the Marine Corps today. Today is their birthday. So shout out to the U.S. Marines, devil dogs, jarheads, whatever you want to call them. But guess what? You mess with the best, you'll die like the rest, as their slogan goes. So respect to my Marines and some of my family members who are Marines. And tomorrow's Veterans Day. So all my vets, get your food out here. Get your food tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a little something, but I respect to all the vets or whatnot, man. So outside of everything else that we've had going on, I think one of the things that we have to also look at this point is really just being able to, I was going to say, this is my next point, stopping Taysom Hill. Defensively, it's not just Taysom Hill. We've had problems with stopping the run. So when you talk about stopping the run and you look at how everything has manifested, we have to have a solid run stopping game. We're not going to have this overnight. It's just not happening. Now, remember this. In 2016, we had an improbable run because of the offense. The defense made plays when they needed to. They had stops when they needed to, but they were ranked 28th the whole year until pretty much the last couple of weeks, and then we finished the season ranked 24th. Once we were in the playoffs, then the defense started to step up in the playoffs. But, again, it could be that type of scenario again this year. You never know. The only thing you have to do is just get in. Just get in the party.
Oh, yeah. That's a fact, man. And that's a great point. And, talk a little bit more of that 2016 season. It was December is when the Falcons really turned the corner and, just started dialing up the pressure defensively, making the plays when they needed to. Offensively, it was kind of the thing that carried us all year long. But, everything elevated, once they got into the more meaningful games, the playoff games and stuff, man. And Carrie, she brings up a great point, man. Containing Taysom Hill, right? This guy, he's been a kryptonite to the Falcons since he's been with the Saints, man. He's been a real tool for them. A guy that just offensively, just puts things out. He's no matter if they use him in the rush department or as a tight end or as a receiver, the guy just gets it done. But one focal point on today's matchup with the Saints should be neutralizing Taysom Hill, put it in Derek Carr's hands because he's going in offensively limited this afternoon. So that's a great point, containing Taysom Hill.
What's going on? We call
there they are.
Call Sports Podcast.
Yes.
What's going on with it? But thanks for the shout out. Appreciate that. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Now that they've lost Lattimore, their best cover corner, the question is this: you've got to put yourself in a position to where now you start attacking the secondary because you got a lot of young guys there, a lot of inexperience, and now you have an experienced quarterback with an experienced wide receiver core that is fine, that has found a groove. I'm not even gonna say a rhythm. They found a groove. So, my thing is once the rhythm is established, I believe we'll be humming on all cylinders because we still haven't played a complete game yet.
No.
But we're winning. Right. So
Definitely
it doesn't, at this point, it's good to win and we're learning how to win. But the question is, how can we win and we continue to get better? What do we need to do every week? How can you get better from the coaching standpoint, from a playing standpoint? How can you continue to build on the momentum that you're having and not rest on your laurels and really just sit back and say, well, damn, we've done all this in the first year, man, we good. And humbleness is always a week away. Ask the Georgia Bulldogs about how that happened last night.
I think one thing I like to see is the Falcons identify what the weakness is in New Orleans. Like you mentioned, it's a young secondary. It's a bunch of backup players. That's one avenue I like to see the Falcons take. Just go in and attack that area. Really put the pressure on that defense that will allow the offense, more abilities underneath and whatnot. The Falcons are talented on the perimeter. Drake London, as we mentioned, he's playing. Darnell Mooney's continuing his tear. So, get these guys involved early, Kyle Pitts early, just really attack the weakness, the sole weakness in this Saints team, which is right now identified as their secondary. I mean, you can argue and say it's the entire defense. That defense, the age has crept up on them faster than that they would like. They're not the defense of old, man. This is a old defense playing, and it's starting to show. I think they've allowed opponents an average of 25 or 30 points for the better part of their losing streak. So Falcons have been trotting out points at will, 30 points a game the last 4 games. Can we continue? Can we continue that? I think you can by identifying the problems that the Saints have defensively and just continue to attack it. Get this game going and put them out of their misery early, man. And just turn the page and set sights on the Denver Broncos next week, man.
And before we even get to the Broncos, we've got to also try to maintain health at this point because a lot of folks aren't looking at it. Defensively, we're a little banged up. And when you look at that defensive line, the depth and everything else that's been there, it's been a little up and down. Trey Anderson's been practicing. He should be back today. Drake London, who I have up in the back, is going to end up getting some reps today. Kadero Hodge is going to play, but they also moved up Chris Blair, Texas Prairie View A&M alum. Shout out to my HBCUs out there. You already know we all support them. I support them here, and we doing the Birdcage. I can't speak for everybody else, but Chris Blair, I'll say, with the speed that he has, and he's going to be on special teams, but I think if they give him packages just to get that wide receiver depth going, because, again, you've got to have somebody to step up, and I'm knocking on this wooden tray right here, if something happens to Mooney, because you see how quick things happen when Drake got hurt. Kadero Hodge had to step in, and he had to be ready.
Right.
Same thing with Chris Blair. He's got to be ready. Casey Washington has to be ready, because at a moment's notice, you want to have your receiving core being able to produce like we did in 2016, where it didn't matter who was coming in. That ball was getting to you, and you were going to score, or you were going to make a big play. It didn't matter. And that is what we're looking for when we talk about the consistency of the Falcons. And speaking of consistency, we call Sports Podcast just asked. He said, what do you think about Ellis's performance, and what do we expect from the linebacking core moving forward? I'm gonna let you handle this one, and then I'll chime in. I'll pass this one to you, Berto.
So with Troy Anderson being active today, I think this is the first time all 3 linebackers will be playing since week 1, and that's already that's a step in the right direction. Getting a guy like Troy Anderson back, which we last saw week 4 against the Saints, and he played the game of his life. So it's important. It's important, right? And it's important for the for the coverage, for the pass coverage, the linebackers depth and stuff like that. So this is now speaking on Caden Ellis and his performance. I think Jimmy was able to identify that, he could, do certain things defensively or switch it up a little bit to allow the depth of the linebackers be at a respectable spot where they're not getting burned in over routes and things of that nature, which allowed Caden to play more around the line of scrimmage. And that's where he's been the most effective. And we saw last week against the Dallas Cowboys, he was a terror. Against the week 2 matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles, he was a terror. It's just that we haven't had all 3 linebackers bring in their strength. So it really has handicapped Jimmy and certain variations on defense that he can play. He was using Caden Ellis in a role that he's really not suitable for, which is, pass coverage. He's not good in that department. But getting back a guy like Troy Anderson paired up with Nate Landman, now it allows Caden to be moved around as that Swiss Army knife on defense, kind of how he was expected to be deployed in week 1 and week 2 and etc. before all the injuries really derailed what the trio at linebacker could have done the entire year.
Exactly. And when you talk about the contribution that Troy brings to the table, I've said he was an edge rusher. He's not a linebacker. I'm going to still say this. Everybody's like, oh, well, he did this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. When you have a guy that's over 6'3", that's over 245, and he runs a 4.445, he's an edge guy. He is not a linebacker. Troy can run. Yes, we know this. But understand this. He's a project player. When you're a linebacker, you have to think, read, and react. That is a skill that is taught. That is a skill that takes hours, takes years to hone. You have to realize this. Playing linebacker is one of the most difficult positions on the field. Everybody talks about quarterback being the hardest position. Being a linebacker is one of the hardest positions because you have to be one of the smartest guys on the field as well, and you have to be able to read, react, shed a 300-pound man to get off you, and you still have to fill the alley to make a play. I played safety and corner. I'm going to honestly say I was just the second toughest on the field because last line of defense, short-term memory. You have to have a short-term memory if your linebackers screw up. So Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons are very critical to the linebacking core when you talk about being able to take the pressure off them so they don't have to think as much. This is what happens when you have to have your captain, then you have to have your XO. I'm using military terminology, ladies and gentlemen, going back to my military days. And then you have to have, after that, you have to have your warrant officers, you have to have your chief's mess. It's so many parts that come through that you have to have that line up for things to flow. It has to always be that way. Everyone has to be on the same page to make the mission happen. I can tell you this from being in the Coast Guard, my 8 years there. I did two duties, two underway duties, Coast Guard Cutter Reliance, and also Coast Guard Cutter Monroe, that's up in Kodiak, Alaska. So when you look at it, if you're on a cutter or a ship, everybody has to do a job just for that ship to function. And that's not even talking about war missions. We're talking about just basic functions. It's just like a defense. You have to have everybody in the right and correct places to be able to have things to happen. This is what happens when you do this. Our defense has to be in sync. Your defensive coordinator has to be in sync with his linebacking core, with his play callers, because you're the extension of him. I'll say this, Raheem Morris will be your captain. You have your XO, then you have following up under. You have two XOs on this ship, though. You got your OC, your DC. I'll just say that. But when you look at that, then you have your divisions that get broken down. This is how this works. So if one of those divisions aren't functioning right, the team is not going to ever play a complete game. You have to have everything that flows together. Everything. So at this point, the way that we can have the Falcons to flow together defensively, offensively, I'm not worried at all. I'm liking what I'm seeing from pass protection, running the ball, passing the ball, but defense, I need to see us be able to stop the run because Kamara is going to run today. And Taysom Hill is going to run today.
And like you mentioned, all three levels, right? Can the Falcons ride the high of last week's defensive line performance into this week's matchup versus the Saints? We already talked about a returning Troy Anderson. Now, can that unit become cohesive enough in this game to play a complete game? And we can't, and we can't really speak. We could speak on the secondary, which has been probably the highlight of this entire Falcons defense. Jesse Bates, Justin
Mhm.
Simmons, AJ Terrell, and company. Those guys have done a fantastic job all year round, just neutralizing the big explosive plays and whatnot for the defense. Could this be the game where all three phases on defense plays a complete game? It really can. Again, I hang my hat on the fact that New Orleans is coming into this game, very limited, and with those limitations, it'll probably allow them to start relying on pieces that aren't contributors to that offense and haven't been in this entire year. They're going to be out Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. Really, it's going to be the Jawan Johnson, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara show. And I think defensively we could stack up good against them. And in the last matchup, Troy Anderson neutralized. You could say he neutralized Alvin Kamara. And it could happen again in this one. So I'm really putting forth a lot of enthusiasm for this Falcons defense to show up today in a big way.
So we call Sports Podcast, man. There's a link in the chat. So if you want to come in here, this is open to all fans. This is what we call the pregame meal. So this is just a little something where we let fans come in before the game, just chop it up with us or whatnot, chop it up with me and whatnot, and talk with other fans. And we just open this thing up because we do the same with the post game show, the benediction, the party line of benediction post game show. So it's just a little something that we do before. We want to hear what the expectations are because there are a lot of expectations with this Falcons team at this point. There are a lot of expectations right now. And the way that we have already put ourselves in a position to win the division at this point, it's been because of grinding it out. It's been because of not giving up, playing all four quarters. It's been a long time since we had a team to play all four quarters and not quit. We've seen the games get bad. Let's be real. The
Yeah.
Philadelphia game, we really could have started 0-3 this season. We really could have been 0-3. But we went into Philly. We fought all the way to the end. We capitalized on a mistake because I'm not going to say that it was a perfect game because it wasn't, but we capitalized. We did what we were supposed to do. And when you talk about it, man, it was crazy. What's going on, Know Your Boy?
What up, man?
Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? Hey, appreciate it having me in, man. Hey, both of y'all doing great jobs. I've been checking you guys out, and just keep pushing, man. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that we get this dub today. But
Yeah.
talking about them Aints, like I said it yesterday. Y'all know that this rivalry games always comes out to the wire, man. It's always one play here and there. But I just wanted to come out here and say that today's MVP will be Cole. Today's MVP, the deciding factor in today's game is gonna be that man's leg. All right, to make it happen. So
wait, cool. So you're calling
so he's saying Cool's gonna be the deciding factor.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, our field goal is gonna be the one that's winning this. We, for some odd reason, we've been doing good. Everything's doing great, but whenever we play either the Bucks or the Saints. Y'all know those games are tied. It don't matter what comes around. So
yeah,
that
point.
So
it's always been tight. But here's my thing: now that you have a wounded secondary because their best corner's gone, I call it wounded because you got a lot of young guys that have never faced adversity before. They've been facing it all year and they folded literally like a cheap paper fan. They've literally folded. So when you talk about the pressure that we can put on them offensively with our weapons, I don't see the game coming down to Cool. I'm being honest. I don't see it that way. Now, if our defense doesn't show up to play, then your prediction would be true. But I don't see our offense taking their foot off the gas. I really see this offense really opening this thing up.
Has to.
Yep. I mean, they've been looking good too. So as far as offense, but it's just something. It's just been a recipe year after year, man. It's just been crazy.
When you talk about a recipe for disaster, I can say the thing that we've talked about with Cool's inconsistencies is this. Cool is a guy that we see him hit the difficult shots. We see him hit the difficult field goals with no hesitation. But when you look at the fact when he gets the chip shots and the things that are easy, it's like, man, how do you miss those? That's why I said I don't want the game to come down to Cool, because at the end of the day, it's up and down. Because think about it. This year he's been good when it comes to with the game on the line. He's been good. But we also know the other side when we've seen him with the game on the line and he's blown a couple of games for us too.
Yeah.
That's why I would not want it to come down to his leg. But you're right. His leg could play a factor in today's game if this defense doesn't show up, period. So I'm with you on that, bro.
Hanging on that defense to show up, bro.
And we got somebody sliding in here that is driving. We got C-Dub in the building. What's going on, C-Dub?
I am. Well, I'm on a mission. I am hunting down some. I'll tell you what. I'm on a mission, Ryan, to find a Napoleon Dynamite, goofy-looking mofo that claims to be a quarterback, and then after that, I need to go to a trap and then take over that trap. So I'll tell you what. How y'all doing? We're talking about the Falcons right now, not those Bulldogs.
Yeah. Hey man, listen. That's a whole nother. That was loaded, man. Listen,
man. Look,
I had to lick my wounds last night, and I had to go on to an Ole Miss podcast, and it stung. And I'm gonna give y'all a little tidbit since you brought that up. I didn't even want to talk about that, but
yeah.
So the former Florida State running back Sammy Smith, who was a first round pick who played in the league, I did an interview with him a while ago. Sammy, I talk to him all the time. So Sammy, everybody knows his story. Went to prison, drug possession, all that. Got out, changed his life around. Sammy didn't finish his degree at Florida State. What folks don't know, he went to Ole Miss and worked for Hugh Freeze at that time before Hugh Freeze started dealing with the escorts at that time. And he finished his degree at Ole Miss. So he gave me a nice little text message. Now, he's been MIA for like 3 weeks. Hadn't said a word to me. The first text message I got, are you okay over there? Do I need to send you a box of Kleenex right now? And I told him, I said, no, just send me some Band-Aids and a 6-pack or whatnot so I can lick my wounds, take a sip, take a couple of shots to the head, and get ready for Tennessee next week and get ready for these Falcons today.
Hey, Ryan, speaking of getting ready, man, I do have to bow out right quick. I got to get ready for mine. But
tell them if we can't watch the show.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. So you can find me on 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube. You can also find me immediately after my live stream this afternoon on Bleacher Report, breaking it down, man, giving my insightful analysis on what went good, what went wrong for these Atlanta Falcons. So definitely, man, if y'all can support your boy, come on through. First time to the platform, welcoming you, always welcoming anybody. But I also ask that you please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. To Ryan, the rest of the panel, thank you so much, guys. You guys have been great. I know C-Dub just got in. My boy Nolo, boy, just keep repping, bro. I hope to see this collaboration come to life real soon with you and Ryan. And C-Dub, you keep it authentic as always, darn it. You only know one way.
Know it. Hey, I only know one way, like my daddy taught me. Akeem the African Dream. We just got to shimmy on around it.
This man, I swear. He's wild. Yo, but thank you again, Ryan. Thank you so very much, man. I will catch you guys soon, all right, man? Everybody be blessed. Rise
all right,
up.
Berto.
All right.
Be easy.
All right.
So that was Berto. Appreciate y'all. What's up, Nolo?
Hey, man, I'm about to bounce out too, but thank you for letting me come in and talk about the Falcons. I'm excited. Every time it's rivalry week, we go crazy. You already know. You get text message out of people out of nowhere whenever you lose. People that have been dead for like years. You don't even know. You get those text messages. Are you okay? Oh, what happened?
You get the MIA messages.
You get the MIA messages. You get the folk. Look, you get the folks in here that want to talk a little trash and want to just slide up on you because they know that you're a little pissed off about what was going on. So
correct.
Hey, just hit me up. Hit me up in the DM or whatnot. Get Bert. If you got Berto's info, he'll pass it to you, bro. Hit me up, and we'll definitely set something up, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, C-Dub. Hey, nice to meet you, man. Just keep pushing up.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Hey, race up. You already know. Let's get this dub today.
You know it.
Rise up, baby. Let's get it.
Well, I mean, look, Ryan, I'm going to just say my things about this game. Number one, don't take this team lightly. Yeah, it's a rivalry game. Yeah, they fired their coach. And look, almost everybody in the media has pointed this out. It's a trap game. It's they feel more relief that Dennis Allen's not there. Okay, nice. You got to come in with the mindset of this is a playoff game. If you win this game, this division's wrapped because no one's got more than, everyone's got one loss for sure, and if not two in the division. No need to shrink to that level. Just go ahead and get this. I mean, because you get it, you run it, and you fulfill what Raheem said: outrun the South. But honestly, it's going to come from our defense. We got to make sure, whoever is playing on the receiver end, you got to just make sure you wrap up and take them down. Don't let them get anything extra. And then Taysom Hill's going to be the only guy I'm concerned about is Taysom Hill and Kamara. I'm not really worried about Carr. I think we can pressure Carr, make him make mistakes. You could tell whenever the air fryer gets a little hotter, he's going to mess it up. So, and offense, look, if anything, this offense should be ready for this because when they came to our house, we didn't score an offensive touchdown. That's something no one has talked about is that, how are we going to look at this team now because they stopped us from scoring. So now if I'm the offense, I'm like, we got something to prove.
Exactly.
All of us.
I think the most dangerous thing. I think the most dangerous thing in this ball game is complacency. That is the most dangerous thing in this ball game that the Falcons could have is complacency. Because when you look at the complacency factor, we had that against Seattle. We thought we were going to walk in. We thought we were going to waltz through them, and they pretty much had something else. We gave them life. We gave them a bounce back game. In this situation here, right now, you just want to put your foot on their throats, crush their windpipes, pretty much stop them from breathing, suffocate them, not slowly. You want them to suffocate fast and painfully. That's what you want it to be. You want this stadium to be empty by the third quarter. Because we know in the first two quarters, unless it's a flat-out blowout, they leaving. Because if there's no way to come back, they leaving. You want this thing to be empty because regardless of how this season is going, this place is going to be electric today. It is going to be loud. It is going to be a raucous environment. And shout out to the Falcon fans that were down in New Orleans that had a second line. Shout out to you. But at the same time, you know this now. That ain't going to go unpunished. Understand that. So whatever comes your way, stand strong, stand 10 toes down, and let them know what's up. Because you came in with this energy. Y'all maintain that energy, please. Yeah. Because I had to jump on a Saints fan who's a podcast hoster on Twitter yesterday. And shout out to one time for the fan or whatnot. Got to give it up to T. Will, Carey,
and Jack Spade.
And my guy Jack Spade. Jack Spade was leading out there. And the guy tried to say, oh, well, these Falcon fans didn't have this energy at this. No, bro, I'm going to say this here. My statement was exactly like this. Yeah, some of those folks are bandwagon riders. I'm going to call that out now because a lot of people was not riding with the team when the team was 1-2. A lot of people were not with the team when Kirk Cousins was signed. A lot of people were pissed about that. A lot of people were saying that Raheem Morris was the wrong pick. So, and I'm talking about in our own fan base. So when I made the statement, I said, no, it's a lot of bandwagon fans. We're going to call you out because you wasn't here when we had bad times. We appreciate you coming, but don't stand here like you was 10 toes down in this thing with us from the start. I got receipts of people that was around doing what they do. You know, C-Dub, myself, you know, K-Dub, the other Magnificent Birdcage crew members. You got a lot of Atlanta Falcon podcasts at the 95 North Sports podcast with Smitty and those boys. Let's be real. There are a lot of Falcon fans who are diehard, and there was a lot of those diehards there doing that. So it was not a multitude of fake fans. I just couldn't tag everybody because I didn't have everybody's tag handle when I put that out there. But
Jack said there were more people. They only expected like 100 people, and they got way more than expected. And the police force that they have been working on this, Ryan, for months. Yeah, they've had this in works for months. And Jack said, and they just said, look, this is fun. We like this. This is great. And there was nothing disrespectful. It was in fun. And the Falcon fans got to enjoy it.
Well, the good thing is we had police officers there to protect them, because if we didn't have cops there, that could have been a bad scene. Let's just be real. There's some sore losers out there. It is some sore losers out there. So when you talk about people, some people will take ribbing one way, but then you have some people who don't have, who can take giving it out, but they can't take receiving it.
My drink's in there?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
So when you really look at it at this point, I see you're actually frozen, my boy. I'll wait till
give me a second. I'll be right there. I just was in the middle.
I'll bring you back. I'm gonna bring him back on when his camera unfreezes or whatnot. There we go. There you go. So
sorry, I was in the midst of I was getting my food for lunch.
Nothing wrong with that. You gotta at least get your food in before the game starts, because you're gonna need your blood pressure medicine soon. Just like myself.
It says I have to eat something. So
you see what I got in my hand. Them blood pressure birds gonna get to you, but I'm not gonna sit there and say too much bad about it. But I got to give a lot of those Falcon fans respect for doing what they did, because we've watched years that the Saints have come in our city and literally have been very disrespectful. I think the craziest thing that happened was, again, when you talk about it, they had the 28-3 billboards up. They had all those stuff around the stadium. Like, when I say the disrespect is real, the disrespect and the hate is real between both of these fan bases and the players.
Yeah.
The players feel it. It's a business decision, but when you talk about the hate and the dislike, it's there. It's always going to be there. So when you talk about these Falcons today, the other thing that you have to talk about is Raheem Morris. The job that he's done by helping the Falcons get to the division title, as he said, outrun the South. He took advantage of a weak division. This is what Arthur Smith could not do last year in the past couple of years. Our division was weak. Our division is weak right now. We're the strongest team in the division. Tampa is the second strongest team. So we were fortunate to get Tampa at the times we did to sweep them. We were fortunate. Because Tampa gets stronger as the year goes on. If y'all don't ever pay attention to that, they get better as the year goes on. They're a second half team. So for us to be able to take advantage of that, now it's time to take advantage of New Orleans, get this division, and possibly host a home game.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, and not only that, it's like this. This is where I want to look at the Falcons. And like I said, I want to remind them, you did not score an offensive touchdown against this team. So you have something to prove. This is something where it's like this, Ryan. We win this game, notoriety, media talks, you're still not going to get it, because it's a team we're supposed to beat.
Agreed.
You lose that game, it becomes, oh, look at the Falcons. They're not that big. They're not that great. They're paper contenders. Look, and that's what they're waiting on. I mean, I know Cam Newton, kind of he did put ESPN on blast going, why are we always talking about the Cowboys? I loved it. I love that rant, because I'm going, of all times to hear Cam say that, and then they were talking about, don't dismiss the Falcons. they are a contender, well, this is when you have to prove it. You beat the teams you're supposed to. Now, if we lose a game, I don't have a problem losing the game. What I have a problem is I don't want to lose it to a team in my division, especially the baghead Aints. I don't want to lose it to the Panthers. I don't want to lose it to the Bucks. So we swept them. So now you're in a position, if you win, you pretty much have to wrap this division up.
That's where you talk about how early we got those games. The NFL front loaded the schedule. People don't realize
that is crazy. I know that was crazy because I remember we used to have our games a little bit later in the year. So when I look at the schedule release, I'm like, all right, when are we going to play the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Saints? And then I'm like, why is it in the middle of the year?
Well, you have to remember this, though.
Yeah.
Chris, C-Dub, you got to remember this, man. When you talk about all the moves that we made this offseason from from Kirk Cousins to drafting Penix, think about it. We made all these moves before that schedule was dropped.
Yeah.
And the schedule was dropped because think about it. The one thing they didn't right now, people don't understand this. A lot of folks don't want Atlanta really here. Not at this point.
No.
They don't want them in control of the division. They're not sexy enough for them. And they're forced to deal with it right now. They're forced to deal with it right now at this point. So
they look at Kirk Cousins and they're like looking at him going, oh, he's like Minnesota. This is how he is. He'll fade in the playoff. Look, the playoffs, Ryan, the playoffs are a different animal. We know this. And we've talked about, what could potentially beat us. We know that. But the thing is, we don't know if Kurt's going to have that year where everything clicks. And it only takes one. Look at Matt Stafford. He had everything around him, and they won the Super Bowl. And everything worked. Everything came together. However way you want to talk about it. You may even downright to the point where they played the Bengals and not the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So, that does happen in football. So my thing is, man, I want to see us get there. If we get there, then let's get on the ride and see it. And look, Kurt, I got to go here, man. I am very happy to see how the city of Atlanta has welcomed Kirk Cousins. You're right. When he first got signed, we all joked about the dry snitching and, he's just a sore thumb sometimes.
Oh, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was on his neck when he put all that information out there and it cost us. And it's going to cost us a pick. And I said, man, I was pissed off about it. But then when I sit back and think about it, it's like, okay, you were being honest about it. And I get it. But at the same time, it would be, like they said, it would be better for you to come clean up front opposed to them waiting to find out. And then you start getting all kinds of allegations and everything else. I mean, at that point, he kind of told on himself. I wouldn't have said anything. But at the same time, I look at it like this. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And remember, this was the first time he had an injury like this. So he was probably just saying, hey, I had to talk to the doctors. I need to know, the training staff, how are we going to do this? What is going to be the schedule? Because look at the way Kurt is. I don't think it was anything. And that's where I was like going, it wasn't nothing competitive. It's just, if anything, it sounded like, hey, this is a guy who's coming off an injury who wants to make sure it's like crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Well, you do that, but problem is he just said it out loud. And that's where I think, it's like one of those you go, okay, you should have just said it internally, not out loud. Exactly. But no, and that's the other thing about Kurt, though. Kurt but then that's what I'm saying with him now. The man has embraced Atlanta. And that's something that I haven't seen quarterbacks do before. Like we've seen Matt Ryan. He was like really good about that.
Matt was groomed here, but Matt's situation was so different. And you have to remember this. With Matt's situation, Matt walked into a situation where nobody wanted him. That was the thing.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people did not want that dude. And his first pass, think about it. His first pass, the Michael Jenkins touchdown, that literally that's what started the controversy at that point.
Yeah. and people still didn't want him then. They were just like, "Oh, he's lucky.
Let's
He
be real. The man got us to a Super Bowl, and the man won an MVP, and the man has every passing record in the franchise, pretty much. So now, when you look at it, it's like, okay, we know he's got Hall of Fame numbers. Like, oh, he's stabbed. Well, here's the thing: you can't get in the Hall of Fame without stats, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
So if you didn't like him, you didn't like him. It's okay to just say you didn't like him, but you can't take away from what he did on the football field. The man didn't miss games. And when you look at the winningest percentage that we had in this franchise, pretty much the winningest years were under Matt Ryan. Period. We had the most playoff appearances due to Matt Ryan. So when you really look back at it, it's like, hey, we were fortunate. We were blessed to have that. I'll bring C-Dub back once his camera unfreezes. I know he's moving around. So, and let's be real. Here's the other thing, C-Dub. The thing that a lot of people don't ever want to talk about is the fact that he had a pretty good record against New Orleans.
Yes.
No one wants to talk about that. That man, actually, he was one of the few quarterbacks that could actually beat New Orleans.
Yeah. No, you know what's funny about Matt Ryan, and I've said this to someone the other day, is when you watch Matt Ryan play, or it's like you really didn't appreciate Matt Ryan until he became a broadcaster and started dissecting everybody's stuff, and you realize, man, this guy really knew what he was talking about. Man, this guy. And then you realize, holy crap, that guy was under center for us. And it almost like the FOMO kicks in. You miss it. You're missing them. But I mean, that's why I kind of like, to be honest, when I saw Kirk Cousins quarterback that series on him, I told my wife I was never a huge Cousins fan, but if I like Matt Ryan, this is the kind of guy I can like too, because you see the dedication. And that's what I'm saying about him here. And it's just good to see him playing for us. And like I said, Ryan, last couple of years, you said it, this division was up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
And having a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, we're 5-0.
And I have no problem with us being 5-0 at this point. Like I've been telling
people. I'm not apologizing.
I'm not apologizing for being 5-0 because at this point, you just got to appreciate just being in the lead at this point, because we were crying and complaining about never being in a position to win this division. Right now, we're in a position to win the division. So crying and complaining, let it go.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to look, we are having our first world problems now where we're saying, well, we need the defense to play better. We need Kyle Pitts not to be a bozo. Look, we are now looking at our team and going, man, we're about to be we're taking care of our division. We are lock, have this thing, and even with 4-0, we're on lock. So today, we've got to go to New Orleans. I get all the emotions, but this team has to show we need to be focused. We need to come at this like a playoff game and beat this team. And like I said, the offense, this is why I keep saying the offense should walk in going, we have to show this team who we are, because they didn't let us score in our house. So let's mollywop that defense.
I'm like this at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is I need them to go ahead and run the score like what happened last year when Jameis did what he did. I appreciate, and I'm going to say this is the only time I've ever been appreciative of anything of New Orleans. Jameis Winston, that play where you pretty much stabbed the fork in Arthur Smith's career pretty much put us in a position to have what we have now. So you're no longer in New Orleans. You're in Cleveland right now trying to figure out what y'all going to do. But I want to say thank you, because the immaturity that you showed in that ball game got us to the point where we're at right now, because heads rolled when you did what you did. So all these New Orleans Saint fans complaining and all this here, guess what? You guys pretty much put us in a position to win. So we thank you for that. So without further ado, this will be concluding the pregame meal. We're gonna go ahead and get ready for this ball game. What's your score prediction for today, C-Dub? What you got for your score prediction? I guess C-Dub couldn't hear me.
Yep, I think I'm out.
I was saying, what do you have for your score prediction today? Well, I have to catch him a little bit later, but if he pops back in, cool. But here are my keys to the game today before I roll out. The keys to the game for me: defense has to stop the run, generate pressure, and create takeaways. That is my defensive side. Special teams, you've got to be disciplined in your gap assignments when it comes to covering the punts, also covering the kickoff, because they like to run it back. You cannot miss tackles. You have to wrap up and do your job by taking the guy to the ground. Gang tackle, put more than one hat on someone. Offensively, run the football. Don't be reliant on Bijan Robinson. Use Tyler Algier. This was the game that he broke out in his first year here. These are the games that he shows up for. Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, split it. Tight end wise, since Kyle Pitts has been banged up and he pretty much not gonna be too heavy out here, Charlie Warner. Start using Charlie Warner. He can block, he can also catch. Use him in the passing game. Open it up. Drake London, use him. If he's able to hold up today, you've got to use him. Chris Blair got moved up. If he's going to be in today, use him on special teams, because I know he might get reps today. I don't know. Maybe not, depending on how the game goes. But Kadero Hodge needs to be pulled off of special teams and used for reps with this offense if Drake is not 100%. You want to try to keep this kid fresh, and you want to use his speed that he has for this offense to help out Darnell Mooney and also Ray McLeod. And the other thing that you want to do, keep Kirk Cousins upright. Don't give him a chance to get hit today. Keep him upright, keep him calm, keep him from being rattled. This is something that you've got to do today to win this ball game. No negative penalties at this point. When I say negative penalties, you're going to get penalties in the game. No dumb penalties. Be disciplined today. Don't cause yourself a chance. Don't cause yourself a chance to give this team any kind of hope. This is a game where you make a statement to your rival to close out the division and handle business. Raheem, you got to stay on Jimmy Lake, and you got to get on him and get pressure, and get him to create pressure for this defense. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. When it comes to the pregame meal, I appreciate you guys for coming through. We Call Sports Podcast. Berto came through, 95 North Sports. He's getting ready to call the game. C-Dub came through. Appreciate you guys for coming through. And the viewers on X, also on YouTube, and also on Facebook, who decided to come through to visit us to actually pull up a plate and see what was up. So we got the halftime report coming for you a little later on. I'll have some stats, have a breakdown for you guys. And again, I expect the party line today. As long as we don't come out here taking these boys lightly, this ball game should be ours. So sit back, relax, get ready for this ball game. It's time to put belt to ass to these Aints. So thank y'all for coming through. We out of here. Peace.